right, I wanted to show off some of my boxing books today. 3 reasons. Number 1, I'm hoping to get some suggestions. It's people who know a little bit more about the fiction boxing genre who can give me some suggestions, you know, stuff that isn't obvious, that doesn't have a boxer on the cover, you know, something that doesn't have a boxer on the cover, but is more like a private detective that happened to be a boxer and there's fights in it, etc. Reason number 2, I'm doing this video, is I want to put my vote in. I don't know if I get a vote, I probably don't, but I am a big fan of all the output over at menspulpmags.com. And if you are new to the channel and aren't aware of this great output, they reprint stories and articles that originally appeared in men's adventure magazines from the 60s and 70s and 80s. So here is one of the things they do is Men's Adventure Quarterly. This was the Vietnam issue, all about Vietnam stories, and there's some nonfiction in there and very interesting stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's very manly. And then they also do stuff like Men's Adventure Library Journal, all shark stories. So I'm just gonna throw it out there, like, man, I would sure love to see an all boxing one of these, huh? Huh, Bob? Huh, what? All boxing, huh? Do I get a vote? Do I get a vote? No. Okay. Oh, well, it's out there. Reason number 3, there is the rematch, the heavyweight championship rematch is coming up this Saturday, and I'm really excited about it, and I want to talk about it. The first fight, it's between Oleksander Usyk and Tyson Fury. This is a rematch, okay? So in the first one, they were both undefeated. And there's many belts in boxing now. You'd think that there's just like one heavyweight champion, but it's a ridiculous amount of belts and it's kind of silly. So Tyson Fury from the UK had 1 belt. Oleksander Usyk had 4 of them. But Tyson Fury is kind of considered the heavyweight championship. So this is the first unification bout since the year 2000, okay? This happened in last May, I think. I'll put the flyer up there. And it was amazing. And spoiler alert, I mean, just Google it. Oleksander Usyk won. And he's the smaller guy. He was a cruiserweight, just came up to the heavyweights. And it was amazing. It was a great fight. And so the rematch is this Saturday. And I'm very excited. And I want my friends to watch it. Why do I want my friends to watch it? Because no one mentioned that first fight. I didn't hear anybody talk about it on social media. But you know what I did hear about a bunch? That fake fight. I got it. No, I got it. I love Mike Tyson. I want to see Mike Tyson fights again, but the dude's old, okay? And y'all tune in for Mike Tyson. But you're giving that fake dude, that fake boxer, credibility, and he doesn't deserve any. He's not a real boxer. He's a YouTube guy. It'd be like if I picked up a bat and went and hit for the Yankees. No, not a boxer. So I would love it if people watched real boxing, because it's exciting. It's exciting. It's a UK guy versus a guy from Ukraine. Oleksander Usyk from the Ukraine. It's great. He's got great style, man. Smaller dude. Boop, bop, bop. Tyson Fury's a big guy. He's got this weird jerky style. My face turned red. That's kind of embarrassing. So if you want to know the real information about boxing and boxing history, there are 2 great channels that I watch. One is Rich the Fight Historian, who makes these cool documentaries, and he has clips of the fights. And just this, I don't know, I love the style of it. It's very cool. And the other channel is Rummy's Corner, who he also has a very distinctive voice. It's very old school, like announcer sounding. And he does lots of videos on the current state of boxing. And he just put out this great video about the fights coming up this Saturday between Fury and Usyk that you should go watch. And I will put links to their channels down in the description. So we're going to move on here to the books. I'm going to start with the fiction books first, and then this is going to be kind of a long video, and then I'm going to timestamp it, and then I'm going to do a flip through of one of the reference books and kind of talk about the fighters that I know. You know, the stuff that I know. I'm just a casual fan. Don't get mad at me. My opinion doesn't matter, once again. So yeah, here we go. All right, first we'll start with this here. Knock 'em dead. Obviously, boxing-centered plot. He's got the gear on, so he's probably an amateur. I think this is just a noir book. Why is it still in the bag while we're showing it? Hey, how's that? That's better? Okay, good. So yeah, this dame's leading him to trouble. He looks like he's in for it, man. Knock 'em dead. Jack Carney. Up next is Hot Leather here. Oh, that's great. The Life and Times of Jimmy Dolan. Assuming that's a fictional character. I don't know every boxer that's ever existed. That looks amazing. There was a bunch of boxing from this era. Boxing books from this era that look just like this. I want to get some more, but usually they're pretty expensive. But the year 2025 is the year I am going to start buying exactly what I want and not just hoping to find it in the store. So we're going to get some more boxing books from the era. And I'm going to leave this one in the bag because I've already shown it. There's a review of it. This is an honorable mention, but this is kind of what I was talking about as suggestions. Corpses in the Cellar, Brad Latham, The Hook, #5. This is about a fire insurance investigator. He's an insurance investigator. It's kind of a private detective story, but he's a former boxer. That's why his nickname is The Hook, because he had a killer hook, like Smoking Joe Frazier. And there are fight scenes in this, which are pretty, they're kind of like boxing. They're a little more street fight, but still there's fist fights in it. And this is what I'm looking for, more suggestions like this. We got this young adult, The Contender, Robert Lipseth. This is a pretty sweet little story. It's kind of endearing about this kid who grows up in the mean streets of New York City, and his friends go into trouble and drugs and stuff, and he stumbles into the boxing gym and kind of like saves him from the streets. And I don't know, it was nice. I think it was written by a former sports writer. Sports writer wrote that. Then we got Requiem for a Heavyweight, Rod Serling. Rod Serling loved boxing, apparently, because he also has the episode of Lee Marvin Was a Man Named Steel. I love that episode with the real boxer. It's getting older and he has to fight the robot boxer. So yeah, Requiem for a Heavyweight. I have not seen this movie. I believe that Muhammad Ali is in this as a young boxer. Stars Anthony Quinn. We got Somebody Up There Likes Me, Rocky Graziano. Obviously, I don't think he wrote this by himself, but it's his story. Also made into a movie with Paul Newman there. I haven't seen this one either. I do like Paul Newman. Rocky Graziano is in our reference boxing books. Famous guy, fan favorite. Then I got, let's see, this is the last of the mass markets here. The Rocky Marciano biography. Rock, undefeated heavyweight champion. He was a smaller guy also, but a power puncher. I haven't read this one. All I know about Rocky Marciano is from watching videos. Up next we got the 16th round, Reuben Hurricane Carter. This was the middleweight boxer who was falsely accused of murder. He made famous by the Bob Dylan song, The Story of the Hurricane. He ain't no gentleman Jim. I totally forgot that I had this. It's been sitting in a box for a couple years, and I am setting it to the side right now because I'm going to read this sucker. I haven't watched the movie. There is a movie with Denzel Washington. I want to read the book first because I'm very interested in it. Everything I know is from the song, which I've listened to 100 million times. So I'd like to know what's really going on. And I bet it's going to be in that book. We got the biography, and we got a biography here of Thomas Hearns. It's one of my favorites, one of the four kings from the 80s and middleweight, another middleweight. Here he is with Hagler. One of the greatest first rounds that ever happened. I'm very much looking forward to learning more about Tommy Hearns. And I felt like this book kind of let me down a little bit. I was hoping it was going to be a little bit more in depth, but it wasn't. It was just kind of there. On the other hand, this book here, called The War, by Don Stradley, is about that fight in particular between Marvelous Marvin Hagler and Tommy the Hitman Hearns, the Detroit Cobra. One of the best fights of all time. I love this picture too. Zoom in on that. I thought it was a painting. No, it is a painting. Yeah, that's a painting. So this book had so much background on both fighters. I learned more about Tommy Hearns from this book, which is split with Marvin Hagler, than I did in that entire other book. This has great background. It's exciting when it leads up to they talk about how it leads up to the fight and all the interviews and all the stuff that was going on. It was good. This is actually, you know what? This is probably my most favorite boxing book that I've read. I really, really recommend that one. We got the Cinderella Man here, James Braddock. They made that movie about him. It had Russell Crowe. Yeah, Russell Crowe. I watched the movie, but I haven't read this book. But I think that they based the movie off of this book. He was a fighter. Should I just tell you now and not in the... Yeah, we'll just go ahead and cover this one now. He was kind of a down-on-his-luck fighter who didn't start off very well. And just kind of lost a lot of his first fights and had to quit and go get a regular job. And it was during the Depression. And it just wasn't... They weren't making any money. So... He went back into boxing and he started winning. And then he made it all the way to the top and took on Max Baer and won the championship. That's why he's the Cinderella Man. So that's an interesting story, interesting boxing story. This one I got because of the cover, only the ring was square. I don't know whose perspective this is from. I think it's a promoter. This has also been sitting in a box since I moved. Just got it out. It doesn't really say really quick who the guy was, but it's someone's time in the fights. Whether he's a promoter, someone worked at Madison Square Garden, I don't know. But I do like the painting, that painting there. We'll get to it someday. Here's one that was a gift from my wife, one of my birthdays. Lost Stories of West Coast Latino Boxing. This is a deep dive into like the Los Angeles area of the 70s and 80s of the Latino fighters, obviously, the immigrants, sons of immigrants. This was different because it had like amateur stuff and local stuff. It has these, cool flyers for the matches, and it was a very neighborhood thing. It was like your local band, and then to watch these guys rise to the top. Some of them I knew the names. Some of them no. I mean, they didn't go to the big time, or I didn't watch them. You can't watch everything. You can't know every band. You can't know every book. You can't know every fighter. yeah, I read it a while ago, so I don't know what else to say. We got some more fiction here. Boxing's best short stories. It's a collection of fight stories. We got some famous names: Arthur Conan Doyle, Ellery Queen. Picked this up at a Goodwill, I think, for $2. Haven't got to it yet. I know. I say it a lot. Here's another fiction. Oh, that's right. It's Robert E. Howard, Sailor Steve Costigan. Oh, man, this collection is so rad. Sailor Steve, he's a sailor. Traveling the world, getting in unsanctioned bouts, getting in illegal fights. Mostly bare knuckle. It's got a cool little bulldog. What's his name? What's his bulldog's name? It doesn't say. Mike, that's what it is. Yeah, his bulldog Mike that he travels around with, and it has all this tough talking and like slang, like the slang dialogue and slang way of writing. It's different. I do not have Robert E. Howard's other fight stories, and I am hoping that it arrives in a wrapped present for this Christmas, because I sure did ask for it. And then we got, let's see, got this autobiography of Arthur Mercanti. He was a ref at some big fights. Here he is at the Frazier Ali fight of the century. This was really interesting to have someone else's perspective, not a boxer, that was in the ring. And so he talks about the fights, the background. What I thought was most interesting was, you think that these guys, like, this is their only job, but he had a real job. He worked at a factory, and they'd call him up and be like, hey, can you come down to Madison Square Garden on Saturday? We need you to ref this for $500. And he's like, yeah, because he was just into it, you know? Obviously, you know, as it went along, he probably did it full time. I don't remember. But yeah, so it has his opinions. He hated Howard Cosell, stuff like that. His run-in with George Foreman, when George Foreman first beat Joe Frazier and got the championship, and George Foreman being a complete asshole, and then George Foreman coming back, you know, when he came back all big and smiley, and all the promoters were like, no, he's a jerk. And then George Foreman melts the hearts of everyone he dealt with in the past. I loved him the first time, but I didn't have to deal with him. But yeah, when he comes back, man, he's a national treasure. The man is a national treasure. Anyway, so yeah, it has stuff like that. It has stuff like the Ken Norton, Muhammad Ali fights that are like, come on, dude. Ken Norton won that last fight for sure. For sure. But Arthur Mercanti was one of the judges, and he's steadfast that Muhammad Ali won it. He got Muhammad Ali the part in the movie Requiem for the Heavyweight that I just showed that book. I don't know, a lot of stuff. This is really interesting. I think I said really interesting a bunch already. Then my favorite boxer, can you guess who it is? Go ahead, put it in the comments. You're probably wrong. Joe Louis. I have both of his autobiographies. This one was written in the 40s, the 30s, right when he was still champion, and the more juicy one here written in the 70s, I think. This one is so funny because it's so, gee golly, everything's so nice, everyone's so nice, and I'm just so happy to be the champ, to be in this great country, and it's hilarious. It was a marketing ploy. His manager was like, here, you need to write this. And then this is afterwards, where Joe Louis tells the real story of how, like, you know, people were totally racist to him. And, you know, he was the first black boxer to be allowed to fight for the heavyweight championship since Jack Johnson. They actually made it illegal. They banned black fighters from fighting for the heavyweight championship because they hated Jack Johnson so much, which is unbelievable. What a crime. And there is boxers that should be known. You know, they are mentioned in those books. We'll go over it, all that stuff in the flip through. But yeah, this book is really good. talks about his relationships with the other boxers and his rise. Then my favorite part of this book is when he has to fight, when he has the rematch with Max Schmeling, who was from Germany, and it was like Hitler's guy, right? And like the whole world is watching, because this is during World War II. And he said that normally when he fought, like there was, not all the white people were against him, but a lot were. And he said that when that fight happened, that second fight, everybody had his back. And he was just like I couldn't even imagine the feeling. Just the overwhelming, like, love that was poured into him for this fight. And then he wins, and he was just the nation's, like, champ. Like, for real. Like the biggest thing in the world. He, like, it was almost like he personally defeated the Nazis. It was amazing. That's the best part of this book. And then obviously, there's all the dirt and stuff that's in there too. He talks a little trash about people and stuff. Oh, this is just funny. I found this for like $1. Fights for Your Life, street fighting hand guide here. And it's got like these pictures of these dudes. Like how could you even learn how to fight from reading this book? Like these guys just out in the parking lot training. Well, like, so yeah, that's really funny. That is hilarious. I mean, I could flip through the whole thing and it'd be a treat. So I like this one at the back where he's trying to rip down her shirt and she's elbowing him in the throat. Yeah, that's good. It kind of reminds me of, remember in Karate Kid when he's got the karate book open and he's like kicking. That's how he's learning karate. This is how to defend yourself streetwise. Then we got this pulp here, which I've shown before. I know the fight stories. I would love to have some fight story pulps, but they're very expensive. There was a bunch at Pulp Fest, and I couldn't do it. They were like $50. This was $10. It had some boxers on it. I read this boxing story. It's very good. I would love to read a collection of pulp boxing stories. I'm sure that there are some. Now that I'm saying that might already exist. We got a comic book, a Joe Palooka. It's from the golden age of comics here. I got another one, but I couldn't find it. That's pretty cool. I think I paid $15. Oof. And then I got some boxing magazines. Got this issue of The Ring when Floyd Patterson had the rematch with Ingmar Johansson. He was the first person to win the heavyweight championship back. He lost it, won it back. He almost kills him in the ring. We'll go over that in the flip through too. And then I got this one. They had a few boxing ones, but I really like this painted cover. I'm a sucker for a painted cover. I don't know who did it. They didn't give him credit, but obviously that's my thumbnail. It's boxing and wrestling. We don't talk about wrestling around here. But yeah, cool. And then, is that all the normal ones? All right, so then here are the big mamma jammas. These are the reference, giant reference books. So we got the boxing album. This is that Mike Tyson there? Okay, so this is probably the latest one. Huge. These things are huge. And this is where we're going to do the flip throughs of. Here's an even fatter one. Look at this thing. Look at how big it is. Bigger than my head. Is that Sugar Ray there? Sugar Ray and Marvelous Marvin Hagler. That's a honker. Muhammad Ali. I picked all three of these up at book fairs for like $2. And this one I think is my favorite because even though it's older, it's a bummer because it doesn't have all of the boxers. This is the one we're going to flip through the most, but it has it just kind of goes through each one. And the other book does that too, but this one has more. This one has more boxers in it. There's Jack Johnson right there. James J. Jeffrey. Yeah. So, Primo Carnera. So if you're interested, stay tuned because we're going to flip the camera and do some flip throughs here. If you're going to turn it off, that's fine. My feelings aren't hurt. Most people only watch for 9 minutes anyway. But seriously, watch the real boxing match. This Saturday, it's going to be so exciting. Tyson Fury's like huge. Oleksander Usyk's like, I mean, he's still a big guy. He's 6'3", but Tyson Fury's like 6'9". So the big guy beat the little guy. I'll see if he can do it again. I love Oleksander Usyk. He's got such a good attitude. Tyson Fury is a trash talker. So it's something for both. This Saturday, it's on DAZN. It's called DAZN. DAZN. I still call it DAZN. I just can't. I can't bring myself to call it DAZN. DAZN. This Saturday. Order it so we can talk about it. Okay, flip through and now. All right, here we go with the flip through. We're going to start with this, Boxing the Great Champions. This is from 1974. It's got some great paintings on the cover. Ali Liston, Joe Louis Schmeling. I believe that's Rocky Marciano. Oh. All right, so let's go ahead and flip through here. And I'm just going to, I'm not an expert. I'm just going to say what I know. And if I say anything wrong when I'm editing it, I'll try and correct it on screen. There's Sonny Liston. And Ali there. All right, so it starts off with a page of classic boxers from the days of bare knuckle boxing back in Britain, and these were kind of the major figures. So 1732, and this stuff was illegal back when boxing was illegal. It's got some great drawings here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this area, but I do want to show some of the drawings. I read through this, I don't remember much about the boxers. Because it's hard to remember it if you can't go watch the fight. I like to, as I'm looking through these books, I like to, read about it, and then you can go look up on YouTube. Especially with these classic fights. There's a lot on there. There's John Sullivan. He's the first name that I personally recognize. So a lot of this older stuff I know, from these books, and then there's some stuff on Instagram, like boxing history that they post daily. Bob Fitzsimmons here, James J. Corbett. This is, James J. Corbett is Gentleman Jim. He's the one that Bob Dylan mentions in the Hurricane song, Gentleman Jim. Look at their boxing shorts here. Oh, you like that? Imagine Tyson Fury wearing those. No, we don't want to. James Jeffries, Tommy Burns, and we got there's Jack Johnson there. And then a big spread here on Jack Johnson. If you don't know the history of Jack Johnson, he was the first black heavyweight. And he was unbeatable. He was a unbeatable force of nature, and I think his years were early 1900s. In the world, our country, the United States, was a very racist place, and they didn't appreciate that he was the champ, and he would rub it in their faces. He was making a lot of money, and would flirt with white women and etc. Just, to piss people off. Show them that, hey, man, I'm the champ. Why can't I do whatever I want? I mean, even if he wasn't champ, I'm a person. So they charged him with this ridiculous crime where it's like transporting a white woman to have possible relations with. I don't know. Obviously, they just wanted him out, and he fled the country, and then he still fought until I believe it was Jess Willard beats him, and then eventually he does come back and does his time for this stupid charge. So it's so shameful, so shameful. But after Jack Johnson, they made it illegal, or not illegal, but they wouldn't allow any more black fighters to fight for the heavyweight championship. So, we're missing probably some great fighters here, and it's an embarrassing shame on our country. All right, so we got Jess Willard here. We got Jack Dempsey. Jack Dempsey was a very popular fighter. And like I said, you can go back and watch some of these fights, even the really old ones where they're wearing those booty shorts. Those are available. They were, like they filmed it. It's really, really old. Like it's one of the, the first films. Gene Tunney. And here's Max Schmeling. He's the German fighter that I was talking about. He was around right before World War II, going into it. And he to Germany, he represented the Nazis. To him, he wasn't a Nazi. He was just a fighter, and he happened to be from Germany, and there wasn't much he could do. So he comes to town and beats Joe Louis. Joe Louis is like I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the books. He was the first black heavyweight since Jack Johnson. He was the first one that they allowed, and he was pretty unbeatable too until Max Schmeling beat him. And get this, Max Schmeling beat him by watching. He was the first person to go watch film of Joe Louis fighting and look for his weaknesses. And he just exploited him. And also Joe Louis was really into golf. And he didn't really think that Max Schmeling was a threat. And he didn't take it seriously. And so he lost. So when it comes back to the rematch, that's what I mentioned, where it was like World War II, and Joe Louis beats him, and the whole world's watching. It's like he personally defeated the Nazis, and I know that later on that Joe Louis and Max Schmeling were friends. Max Schmeling wasn't a Nazi. So we got Primo Carnera here. It's kind of an interesting story. He was a carnival strongman, so big giant dude, and the mob found him in Italy, the mafia, and they kind of were just like, oh, we're going to make this guy the champion, we're going to fix all the matches and make this guy the heavyweight champion, and then we're going to just rig it and make a bunch of money. And they did, and he won, and they took all of his money, and eventually, he got rocked because he wasn't a real boxer. He got rocked here by Max Bayer, and then, died penniless, completely taken in by the mob.
Oh, down goes the champion again. And now Max Bayer is beginning to take real control of this fight. Big thundering right hands as that left continues to hang by the 6'6" Primo Carnera, the 6' 2.5" Max Bayer able to get through that left hand and nail him with rights. Primo showing us that he has tremendous heart. He's been down several times and taken them heavier blows with the knife. You wonder just how much more punishment the big fella can take from Max Bayer. However, he is the reigning champion. Referee Arthur Donovan taking a look into the eyes of big Primo Carnera. Oh, big hit that time. Another big shot to the head. And down he goes again. We may have a change in the world title tonight.
So here's Max Barry. He was a Jewish boxer, and he would fight with the Star of David on his shorts. He was a very charismatic guy. There's lots of clips of him talking smack, being silly to the cameras. He was also a very vicious fighter. I'll put that clip in there of him fighting Primo Carnera. And he's in the Cinderella Man movie where he plays a real bad guy. But I don't know, from the clips, I don't see him as such a bad guy. And then there's, James J. Braddock, Cinderella Man, who we already talked about. And my favorite, Joe Louis. It's interesting because he did a lot for black people to come forward. He was one of the reasons that Jackie Robinson got to play baseball, Major League Baseball. And he kind of just changed things from inside the system. And he would have kind of beef with Muhammad Ali later on because Muhammad Ali changed things from outside the system. Joe Louis was inside. That's what he understood. So him and Muhammad Ali kind of had some different opinions. Ezard Charles, he's from Cincinnati. There's a Ezard Charles Boulevard in Cincinnati, whenever we drive down there. Jersey Joe Walcott. The title was up for grabs. I think Joe Louis retires, and these two guys fight for the heavyweight title. And this is still when there was, an obvious heavyweight champ. There was a few belts, but it pretty much stayed with the one fighter. And then we got Rocky Marciano. He was undefeated. He retired undefeated. He never had to go back into the ring. He took care of his finances. Never had to come back. He seemed like a really, really good guy. He died young in a plane crash. Ingemar Johansson was a Swedish boxer, and he fought Floyd Patterson, and he beat him the first time. Took Floyd Patterson's title, and then during the rematch, Floyd Patterson just wallops him. It's a killer fight. And that's what I was saying, they were like, Floyd Patterson just did this jumping left hook and just dropped him, and he was unconscious. And if you listen closely in the clip, though I couldn't get it when I was grabbing clips, you can hear Howard Cosell ask if he's dead. Like, is he dead? So it's kind of a crazy end to the fight.
Patterson stalking, mixing his punches. The final blow.
And then so Floyd Patterson was the first heavyweight to regain the title, to lose it and gain it back. Floyd Patterson was kind of a smaller fighter, pretty boy. Yeah, he was all right, but he was like the last of this kind of era right here, because it's about to change and they're about to get bigger, and just like the golden era is about to usher in, and he couldn't hang with it. Here's Sonny Liston, the changeover. He's just a brutal slugger. He was in prison. He learned boxing in prison, and he never kind of got away from the crime life. And he was always in the drugs and, associations with the mob, etc. The infamous photo of, that's not necessarily it, but when he fought Muhammad Ali, and he's laying on the ground, he's laying on the mat after Ali had knocked him down, and Ali's yelling at him. It looks, I read this book about Sonny Liston and about how it was, how they think that he was murdered, like the end of his life. I don't have that book. I gave it to my boxing trainer to read, and I forgot to get it back when I moved. But so they talk about this fight, and I'm going to show the clip, and he gets hit by this punch. It's a real punch. I'm sure it could have knocked him down, but the way he's just kind of like rolling around, it looks so fake to me. And I don't think that Muhammad Ali had anything to do with it. You know, you could tell he was like, he wanted a real fight. He's not, Muhammad Ali wouldn't do a fake fight. He wouldn't do a setup. It's just not his personality. But it's Sonny Liston's. So I think that he threw it to get money for the mob.
A right hand shot on the chin.
So yeah, Muhammad Ali, I guess, you know, talking about Muhammad Ali is like talking about Stephen King here on a book channel. He's, you know, the most charismatic, probably the most charismatic sports of any sports star that's ever existed. He's like total one of a kind. That guy could, yeah, he could talk, huh? He's witty, it's funny, charming. Also, he did some things that kind of a bummer. I think his he took it a little too far sometimes when he would talk trash, like to my man Smoking Joe here. I think he was a little too hard on Smoking Joe. Called him Uncle Tom and stuff. Yeah. Those fights, those black and white fights when Muhammad Ali is young, are just incredible. Like, no, obviously no one moved like that and was as big as he was. And you know, as he went on, just like any other boxer, I think the flash died down a little. Henry Cooper was this English boxer who famous for knocking down Muhammad Ali once. That's how great Muhammad Ali was, that if you knocked him down once, you get a page in this book. So here's one of my favorites, Smoking Joe Frazier. I liked his style. I love how he could dodge. He could dodge the punches. He had this like kind of. I know Muhammad Ali is a dancing style, but I don't know. There was something about Joe Frazier and his movements. It was mesmerizing to me. I loved watching it. I also love that left hook. That left hook when he drops Muhammad Ali. We'll put a clip of that.
Step back, says the referee.
And then, you know, it's really sad to watch him get just annihilated by Big George Foreman. Big George Foreman comes in really young, really big, punched super hard. Basically, it was just kind of like Mike Tyson, just plow through people. And Joe Frazier always took a minute to get his bearings, you know, to get the groove of the fight. And he just didn't have it. He just couldn't get it, and George Foreman was just rocking him too hard, and he just dropped him like, I think it was like 6 times in the first round. It was rough. It was rough to watch. Yeah, Big George, he was a character, and then he comes back and he's a completely different character. I think he's one of my favorite boxers, and kind of one of my favorite people. I like the rebirth. I like his attitude, and he's still alive. I think that people should celebrate him more. I loved his color commentary when he was on HBO. He was funny. Archie Moore, the old mongoose. Light heavyweights. Dick Tiger, Bob Foster. Yeah, the light heavyweight weight group. I don't know. I feel like if I was a light heavyweight man, I would just do whatever I could to be that heavyweight. because people just don't pay as much attention to the light heavyweights. You know, but middleweight gets a lot of attention, and heavyweight. Harry Greb, middleweight. Oh, this is the middleweight section. Yeah, so I don't know. Let's see. We got a couple other books that I want to go through too. Graziano is the one that we got that book that he wrote. Fan favorite. Sugar Ray Robinson. People say that he is the pound for pound best fighter that's ever existed. I watched some old fights of him. It was cool. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't watched the right ones. I don't know. It just seemed like it was good. I mean, he was a good fighter, but it wasn't like I wasn't enthralled by it. There's an interesting story. Oh, first here, Jake LaMotta, Raging Bull. They did the movie. Robert De Niro. He had 6 fights with Sugar Ray Robinson, and he was one of the few people that could beat him. I think he only beat him once, though. Just tells you how good Sugar Ray Robinson was. So Sugar Ray Robinson, before this fight he had this nightmare that he killed the boxer in the ring that he was about to fight. Next day he gets up and he wants to cancel this match. He tries his best to be like, I don't want to fight. I'm not doing it. I had a dream I'm going to kill this guy and I don't want to fight. You know, and the managers, promoters are like, are you crazy? This is a lot of money. It's just a dream. You know, come on, man, you got to do this. So he goes ahead and he does the fight, and he ends up actually killing the guy. Like it was a premonition that came true. And, you know, man, he's got to like, I couldn't even imagine having to live with that. Like just knowing that it was going to happen. And it happening right in front of your eyes. Ah, that's just so crazy. All right, let's see. So this is from, this is from the 70s. So we don't even get like Roberto Duran or anything. I know I'm flipping through and boxing people are like, what are you doing? Carlos Monzon. He was in that Latino boxing book that I showed. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know these lightweights and stuff. Like I said, I'm not an expert. All right, let's see what's in the other books. Here's the later ones, so we'll have like Tyson and stuff. So let's see. Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard. Oh, it has the history of fighting, like Egyptian carvings. And then here it has the early champions, just like the other book. Oh, look at these. Look at that. Oh, get it in the shot. How cool. Oh, it's a book. The gloved era. So yeah, here we go. There's Gentleman Jim looking all gentlemanly. Let's sit this down so I can flip. There's Jack Johnson. You know what's funny is later on, in the past few years, Sylvester Stallone got Trump to pardon him. There's an actual like signing where like Deontay Wilder is there, like with Trump, and they're pardoning Jack Johnson. Interesting, eh? Tommy Burns. Let's see, Jim Bristol. Yeah, so this has some boxers that weren't in the last one. Jack Dempsey. 20. Let's see. Find somebody. Let's go some later stuff that we didn't get last time. Oh, look, there's the George Foreman comeback. When he's all big and smiling. That was him at the Olympics, waving his little flag around. Oh, Larry Holmes. He wasn't in the last one. I kind of miss the Larry Holmes era. Like, I went back and watched all the golden era, and then it kind of is like the middle era between like those big guys from the 70s and then into like Tyson and stuff. And I don't know, I think it's just because maybe it was just Larry Holmes, right? Who else stands out? Jerry Cooney. Manos di Parra. Roberto Duran. I love Roberto Duran. One of my favorite fights is when he beats Sugar Ray Leonard. I'm not really a fan of Sugar Ray. So it was cool to see him whoop his ass. And then it was really sad when they had the rematch and Duran came back all chubby and Sugar Ray just knocked the shit out of him, and then he like gives up in the middle of the fight. Roberto Duran just looks at the referee and he's like, no mas, like no more, I'm out of here. Didn't even like lose. I mean, he lost because he walked out, but he just kind of gave up. It's one of the weirdest endings of any fight. We have Marvelous Marvin Hagler. He's funny. He was an angry dude. So, the announcers would always say like Sugar Ray Leonard and like all the nicknames, but they would never call him Marvelous Marvin Hagler. So he went and got his name legally changed to Marvelous Marvin Hagler. He's really interesting. He's really grumpy. And that war book with him and Tommy Hearns, he's a grumpy guy. There's Sugar Ray. Yeah, he's just, I don't know. He didn't really fight that much. And I just feel like, I don't know. I want to say he gets lucky, but it's just because, I'm hating. I'm a hater. Thomas Hearns is another one of my favorites. Yeah, he's fun to watch too. He's a really tall, skinny guy. So he would fight in the middleweights, but he's like gigantic to them. He just his jab, and he could like reach across the ring, just tap him right in the face. There's nothing they could do. It's kind of unfair, but it's fun to watch. He wanted to be a cop, so like he's like a volunteer police officer. There's like these pictures of him in like cop uniform, which is really weird. I mean, he's in Detroit in like the 70s. He wants to be a cop. I don't know. Julio Cesar Chavez, famous Mexican fighter. These, like the middleweights and the lower weight classes are fun to watch because they're really fast. Evander Holyfield infamously got his ear bitten off by Mike Tyson. This dude looks like somebody vacuum sealed his body. Like it's like he's one of the like really cut, like oddly cut. He was a great fighter. He wasn't like flashy. I mean, if you look at him, you're just like, yeah, it's a guy. But he sure did. Like, man, he took on everybody, right? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that dude. Iron Mike Tyson. That was exciting, right? This was like the most exciting thing since Muhammad Ali to people. Everybody watched Mike Tyson. I remember watching it when I was young. We'd have people over and everything. Like you see on television. Boxing parties. What can you say? It's Mike Tyson, man. I watched this video with You God from the Wu-Tang Clan, who says that when he was a kid, Mike Tyson robbed him and his mom. Like when Mike Tyson was a street punk kid. I don't know how true it is. Someone said it to Mike Tyson. He's like, well, you tell You God that I'm sorry. I'm not that same person anymore. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Let's see. What's this stuff? Oh, the boxing rules. Great fights. Oh yeah, this is cool because you can go and look it up. You can look up these fights. I'm not going to put them all in there because it's a lot of work to go grab those fights and put the clips in, but it's crazy. I mean, I think it goes all the way back to like 1900, like the recordings. All right, what do we have? Like 30 minutes plus the 20? Oh, this is going to be like an hour long. Jersey Joe Walcott versus Rocky Marciano. There's the Patterson versus Ingmar Johansson. Gene Fulmer versus Sugar Ray Robinson. There we go. That really was the fight of the century. That's probably the best, the most exciting boxing match. Joe Frazier, George Foreman. Just a picture of Joe on the ground over and over. Oh, that third one was heartbreaking. They should have let Joe just finish. See who actually won. It was damn close. That was a great fight too. Tommy versus Roberto Duran. Okay. They're managers, famous managers. Oh, look at that. It's like boxing, like baseball cards with boxers. Oh, that'd be cool to get some of those, huh? Okay. And here's the big fat one, Sugar Ray. Marvelous Marvin. I won't do you wrong, Marvelous. I know that you're marvelous. One of these books has the all the black fighters that weren't allowed to fight. I can't find it now. There's Jerry Cooney versus Larry Holmes. Oh, this book is huge. Sonny Liston. He was on the cover of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the Beatles. He's the guy on the left. I'll put that picture in there. There's no Ken Norton in here. Yeah, no, like I said, go follow those other, oh, that's a great picture. Those channels that I mentioned for deep dives. Rich the Fight Historian, I love his documentaries and the way he presents them. And he has, like, he goes and he does grab the fights that he's talking about. He puts a lot of work into it. It's so good. And then Rummy, same way. All right. Yeah, I'm going to call that a day. There you go. Ended on Muhammad Ali. Pull up the camera. Everyone should go watch that fight. I can't believe y'all are still watching this video. Who do you think is going to win? Fury? Usyk? Put it in the comments. Put your favorite boxer in the comments. Put your favorite fight. And I'm out of here.